you a hair professional that wants to be able to offer their clients a speedy, lower price point foil refresh that really delivers? Oh, you are? Well, in that case, keep on watching because this video is for you. Hello and welcome to the world of Craig. Yes, that's me, I'm Craig, and this is my channel where we get into all things hair and sometimes a little bit of beauty. You've seen the thumbnail, you've seen the splashy intro. This video is all about a new placement for foils that I've come up with that is just 15 foils that really delivers results. So if you're a hair professional and you're finding that your clients are coming in less and less, I have found that myself. I have found that clients are coming in less frequently for their foil refreshes, then this technique might be something that will be useful for you to use in salon, on clients, or if you go to people's homes and do their hair. There's obviously some toners in here as well. There's a toner, there is a, what else is in there? There's the toner placement. There's lots and lots of tips for foiling. So let's not make this a very long intro. Or when after we've watched the process in a second, I'm going to take you through a couple of my favorite top tips for foiling and that can really help with this particular foil placement. So without further ado, let's get into my 15 foil placement, speedy foil placement for great results. First things first, let's have a look at Molly's hair. She's around a natural level 7 and she has quite pale eyes, but although there's some gold in her hair, it lifts quite easily. She has existing highlights that were done by me. I'm prepping her hair with K18 with the chelator and the molecular mist. There are lots of K18 videos right here on my channel. I really enjoy all of the Weller Blonde or Lightness. Here I'm using Multi Blonde 7 and I'm mixing it at a 1:2 ratio with 20 volume. And of course, I have my Foil Me Foil wides. Let's get into that speedy 15 foil application. Starting off with a hairline in the nape of the neck. I think it's important to get some brightness through here as Molly wears her hair up a lot. You can see that my weave is bold, but it's definitely a woven foil highlight. Just 2 foils underneath, that's all. Then moving on to the top of the crown. You can see here that my section is quite thick and these highlights are really bold. We'll get into that more in a second. I'm making sure to use the entire width of the foil. This is important because that's what saves you time and gets you bold brightness. That box that you just got a sneaky peek of was the Foil Me Foils Extra Wides. You can see how wide they are, there they are again, which means I can get my bold weave into a wider section. Here's a close-up. I've got 4 foils here at the crown and 1 on each side of the nape. Now let's move on to the face frame. You might call them baby lights or fine highlights like I do, but it's basically 1 on each side with quite a bold weave, very simple. Now, this is the crux of the whole placement, that parting section. I always generally work either side of the parting. There are many tutorials of that and placement videos here on my channel, but this was all about speed and just 15 foils. So here I'm going to work through a parting. And there are some really important things to remember. The foil must be woven if you want it to have a soft blended result. And look at how deep and wide that foil section is. You can see here that I know where Molly's parting is and I'm making sure that there's a tiny bit of blank space where her parting would be. This ensures that the final result will blend even without root shadowing. We're on to our final foil here through the parting section and a reminder of how deep the section is and also at how bold the weave is. This is so important to reiterate that again. Molly has the highlights on the mid-lengths and ends of her hair, so we want to make sure that there's brightness at the root. And here's just a quick look at those 15 foils all in their place. Just to add here that you can use this placement on somebody that has no existing highlights, but of course the result will be much bolder and more dimensional as you don't have the colour on the mid-lengths and ends. Once the back foils were lifted to around a level 9.5, it was over to the basins and we rinsed those out. Then it was back over to the section and I'm incubating here with some cling film, which I absolutely love. It's a great hack, it makes all the difference. And they'd got to their required level 9.5. We went back over to the basins, rinsed, shampooed with the detox shampoo from K18 and then applied some molecular mask before toning. Here you can see how important that blank space was along Molly's parting. Even though the highlights were bold, they don't look stripy. Now it's on to toning and my two formulas are on screen. I have my root shadow formula and the formula for the mid lengths and ends. Here I go again telling you where to find my content, but there really are many root shadowing and toning videos here on my channel. That's the waggy finger telling you I don't apply my first root shadow formula to the face frame. Then we shampooed with the Redken Acidic Colour Gloss, such a fantastic product. Look at this result. It's bold, it's bright, but it is blended from the root shadow and also that placement. Right, it's time to go back to me for some top tips. Hello, yes, I'm back. So that was the full process, and I apologise if there is a change in the audio between those clips which are voice-overed and then coming back to me if the audio does differ slightly. This is my home, I don't have microphones and things. I could do that, and I'm sure that some people would enjoy that. I would love to be able to bring you that quality of sound, but it would just be too time consuming with everything else I have going on in my life and the way that I edit my videos, etc, etc. So I do apologise. So that was the full process. Now I've got some top tips that I want to share with you, which kind of apply to that application of foiling. But just to mention that I do have many other foiling videos here on my channel. There are loads of them. There's a whole playlist, I think that's just called FOILS. So there's loads of foiling placement top tips. I know people find it tricky sometimes to find content here on my channel, or I often get comments of like, you should make a video on this. I've probably got a video on that, to be honest. And then also, if you enjoy this video and find it helpful, you know what to do. So my first top tip would be it's very simple, it's very straightforward, but think about where the sun and the light would naturally hit your client's hair. Clients are always, if they're highlight clients, they're 99 times out of 100 going to want to be the brightest around the face frame, and that's why the application that you've just seen is done in that way. Face frames are a thing that are here to stay. They're always going to be popular. I've been doing them for the last 25 years, even before they were a thing on social media, before there was social media. So clients are always going to want to be brightest around the face frame. And then of course the sun would hit the top layers of their hair, and that's why the application is done that way. So when you're going to do any partial highlighting technique, think about where the sun would hit the hair naturally. So that's number one. What's number two? Next up is all about the size of your weave. No, not this weave. That's not a weave. It wouldn't like that if it was a weave. It's all about the size of your weave. The weaves or slices or kind of splices or skip stitches, whatever you call them, must be bold for that placement to work. If they're tiny little, what some people call baby lights, what I call fine highlights, you won't get enough bang for your buck and the result won't be bright enough. So your weaves must be bold. It's also worth adding here, mentioning here, that placement does work on people's, any client or anybody that doesn't already have any highlights in their hair, but obviously the technique will look less blended. The gorgeous Molly, that's the one. The gorgeous Molly in those clips has already got highlights in her hair. She's a regular model of mine, a house model. But if somebody didn't have highlights in their hair, then obviously it would be much bolder. It would pop a lot more because she has that colour on her mid-lengths and ends. But you must make sure that the weave is bold. Also just worth mentioning that obviously if you're going to tone it in a dimensional, root shadowy, contemporary, modern way, then you don't need to worry about the boldness at the root, because the root shadow, even if you're root shadowing it on the same level that you've lifted it to, say you've lifted your highlights to a level 9 and your root shadowing formula is a level 9, so you only want it to be super soft, it will still blend the bold foil stitch marks in. Lots of hand movements. So make sure if you're going to do that placement that the weaves are bold, otherwise it will be too subtle and it will kind of defeat the object of a speedy, lower priced foil refresh. And tip number 3 is something that a lot of hair professionals really don't like to talk about. I've never had a problem with it myself, but that is price point. What do you charge for a service like this? Well, I wanted to come up with a technique, and whenever I get a house model that messages me and she wants to come in and get, or that he wants to come in, whoever wants to come in, they want to come in and they want to get their hair color refreshed, I think of something that some education that I can bring you that's really going to help. I don't just want to make videos about products or sensational videos about, oh, this or that, or it's just not my style over here on my channel. So I always think about education that I can bring you that adds value. Okay, so I wanted a speedy refresh. Now, it might be worth mentioning that application takes me, and I have been using it in the salon, and it does take me about 20 minutes to put the foils in. Okay, so that's really quite quick. I am very quick. I use the wide foils, as you've seen, Foil Me Foils Wides, because they mean you can travel faster, quicker, and you can get the foils in quicker. Foil highlighting is a system. So it's a process, and I like my processes to be fast, because then it saves me time, and then I can charge accordingly, and I can make sure that I'm making a profit and making a living, because that's what we do this, that's why we do this. But I'm sure, there are people watching this that think, oh, what am I going to charge? How do I charge? Well, I would advise you to charge a set price for that service. So call it, my speedy foil highlighting refresh. Call it, summertime sprinkle lights. Call it whatever you want to call it, but that was very London, wasn't it? But charge a particular price, and that includes the foil highlights, anything like K18 that you use. K18 is something I've used now for over 4 years, probably, yes. And I wouldn't do any lightening without it, so that's included in all of my services. And then your toner, and then, anything you might use before drying the hair off. You could even include a blow dry, a blow dry in that service. But think of a package price and do it as a one thing. You could do it as not a special offer, but you could do it as a special offering for the summer, or a special offering for your highlight clients, and say, this is something new that I have that is one price. You don't have to worry about adding on a toner and adding on this, but you must, and this is really important, you must make sure that you work out the cost of the products, plus your time, and then that's what would be the actual price. Please don't undercharge for things. I know a lot of hairdressers do, and it really does make me very sad, because as much as we love this, we can't do it if it's not going to pay the bills. So think about charging one set price, calling it, introducing it to your clients as a kind of new service that you're offering, that is this speedy refresh that they can have in between their normal appointments to get them to come back to see you slightly more often, but they're getting it at a lower price point, so everyone's a winner. So that's it for my 15 foil refresh. If you've enjoyed this video and found it helpful, you know exactly what to do. My channel has always been about creating content that has value to it for you, so you can take it and make it your own, and so that it can make you a more successful hairdresser, a more confident hairdresser, so that you can go and make your clients feel great. My channel has moved slightly recently to also produce content that is for consumers, and I love that as well, because it means that everybody at home can have great hair, whether they, some people can't get to the salon or don't want to go to the salon for whatever reason. So for me, it is all about everybody having great hair, but education of whatever kind is always going to be at the core of this channel. I do find myself making more videos that are about products, but I don't accept sponsorships over here. So, it's really fun to produce a video like this that I think will really help some people. If you use this technique, please let me know in the comments. Or if you're watching this as a hair professional and you think you're going to use it, and you think it might be helpful for you to put things into a package and offer it to your clients, then also please let me know. Or if you're a consumer at home and you've watched this and you've learned something from it, or it's given you some insight into how you can talk to your hairdresser about how you want your hair to be, then also let me know. And remember, you leave me a comment and I will always get back to you. There's a ton of content here on my channel. I'm always saying that because my channel is educational in some way, and it isn't just me saying buy this or buy that, so have a look around when you've finished watching this. But until the next time, you all take lots of care, and yes, I will see you in the next one.